Find some joy. Did you find some joy?
I went to the fair on Friday. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that.
How was that?
That was good.
Let's start off with joy. How was the fair?
It was good. Mainly went for the food.
Okay.
The rides and stuff that adds up pretty quickly. So didn't really do any of that. Played a few of the games, but mainly went for the food. Let's see, pickle pizza, fist fries.
Whoa.
You don't know about the pickle pizza?
No.
Spaghetti Eddie's has pickle pizza, which my wife's had before, and she was raving about it. And she don't even like pickles, and I love pickles.
Understand.
So she's like, if I like this, you'll love it. And we had it. Great. Had some fist fries, classic. I got the surf and turf sundae, little steak and shrimp on the French fries. That was really good.
Okay.
What else? Did the deep fried Oreos, deep fried Reese's. Life changing. The Reese's was certainly. And then she got one of those Dubai chocolate like strawberry cup things, which was also really good. So tried to sample a little bit of everything.
Good grief.
Yeah. So we had fun. We had fun doing that.
Yeah. How did you two get out of there? My goodness, all that food.
Yeah. It was late, so it was an early morning on Saturday to do the pregame show, but we had a good time.
What was the take on the crowd?
For the fair.
Yeah.
It wasn't too
Yeah, don't
bad.
worry about the game. We'll get to the game.
It built as the evening went along because we rolled in about 5:30-ish, and it wasn't bad. But as the night went on, more kids showing up and all that kind of stuff. So it got pretty heavy towards the 7-8-ish hour. But again, it wasn't too bad.
Well, we'll keep it light. So we will revisit that and go through really more of what Tyler ate because we have eyes.
Yes.
Tyler's fully capable of seeing. I'm fully capable of seeing. Were you at the game?
I was at the game.
You were
Yes,
at the game?
I was at the game.
I was at the game. Look, what do you want us to say? I mean, what are we supposed to say? It was, there's a lot of adjectives
Sure.
you can use to describe that game. There is things that we want to take issue with today. Tyler, I still, 24 hours later, it's 12 o'clock now. The game started at 12:45 on Saturday, so less than 24 hours. I haven't processed what I saw, and I've tried. There's a lot of things I could say right off the bat of the show, and I got to take a quick break in between, so Tyler's going to hold down segment 2. But I've seen a lot of South Carolina football. Mm-hmm. A lot.
Yep.
Too much. That was as embarrassing a performance. That was as embarrassing a offensive game plan and play calling as I have seen. And I have seen some stuff.
Sure.
I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. I would like to tell you there was a silver lining. There is a silver lining. There's a silver lining. To my knowledge, you correct me if I'm wrong, no illegal procedure, false start penalties.
No, the one false start was on special teams, and I don't put that on the offensive line. So, yes, and that's actually something we were hopeful for on Friday. It was like, hey, if nothing else, can Sean Elliott coach the pre-snap snuff out of them, which he did. Now, when the ball was snapped, that was a different story, but he at least for 1 week, we'll see if it holds to Alabama this upcoming weekend, was able to correct that issue.
I don't, and a lot of you, I know there's anger. I know that Saturday might have been a turning point. Saturday might have been a turning point from the game. It might have been a turning point from a particular response in a press conference. I don't know where South Carolina football is at, and I don't know where it goes with these next 3 games. Now, you get a bye in there, so the next 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. There is a lot to digest and break down and analyze from a game in which, let's be dead honest, it ain't like Oklahoma played good.
No. And you were still in this game in the third quarter.
That was amazing.
Yeah. It was a 7-point game at halftime. They went up 10 at about the 4-ish minute mark of the third quarter. And unfortunately, and this is where, the fan base frustration really showed, that's when people started to leave. You were down by 10 points with a quarter and change left to go. And the people in the fan base did not believe your offense could overcome that deficit in over 15 minutes of play left. And they started filing out. That place was a ghost town by the end of the game.
It was. No, you're right. Thankfully, I didn't see the safety.
Oh, you were out by then?
I left by then. Like I said, there's a lot to unpack, and Tyler and I both saw it. We have eyes. We have opinions. But I know that a lot of y'all, I've actually already looked at the text line today. I know a lot of y'all have already been weighing in. The only thing we ask today, the only simple thing we ask is no personal attacks.
Yes.
Don't attack someone's family. Don't attack their animals. Don't attack, but everything is on the table. Everything is on the table, and the season has gone off the rails. I don't know how. I don't see how South Carolina gets to a bowl game. Quite frankly, there is a reason I believe Alabama's only a 13.5-point favorite. I mean, Alabama's got to – not saying that Alabama's going to lose, that South Carolina's going to beat Alabama this weekend, but Alabama's got to run out of gas at some point. Like, they just got to have a C-minus game that they would still waltz in here, because South Carolina can't score more than 10 points, and Alabama's going to score 25.
Yeah, Alabama's coming off of beating 3 straight ranked opponents. They're due for a sleepy kind of C-plus level game, which their C-plus level game is still really, really good.
Right. That
would probably still yield them walking here a victory, but, they may not beat Carolina 42-3 or something like that. But, yeah, it's – I don't – because, again, we talk about Beamer teams, and everybody will go back to the Florida game in 2022 and how awful that looked, and they go out the next week and put up 63 points on Tennessee. I don't know where you look at what this offense has done this year to think something like that can happen.
Well, in 2022, they faced adversity. You mentioned that. They were ranked. They were ranked, and then they lost to Missouri at home, 23-10, and then they went on the road and got annihilated, didn't score a touchdown to Florida. They faced adversity, and they bounced back. In 2023, they also faced adversity, and they didn't make a bowl game, but they kind of bounced back. They were 2-6 and had the November run, and at least put themselves in position. Say what you want. Maybe I'm being a homer and being biased, but they at least put themselves in position to get to a bowl game. They faced adversity and to an extent overcame it. Shane Beamer and his staff and his program have never, ever in his 5 years faced adversity like they face today, because now a fan base that you had in the palm of your hand in July at SEC Media Days is now looking at you with a million questions. Yeah. And it's fair. And Shane should understand that. And not only that, I'd have no doubt in my mind that he's sitting over there today trying to figure out how to fix it. So I don't think he's just sitting around, playing video games with guys or hanging out at the barbershop. But this is the most adversity he has faced as a head coach. This is the most adverse. And some of it has to do, Tyler, with the new day and age of football.
Sure.
Where NIL now plays a role, transfer portal plays a role. There's a lot more than just, oh, they stink this year, we'll bounce back next year.
Well, and I don't think it helps either that a team that has perennially been the doormat of the conference got a quarterback from the portal and got an offensive coordinator and have passed you by right now. They're sitting in a better spot than you are in terms of Vanderbilt. Obviously, I'm talking about, and look like a favorite to make the college football playoff. So that's certainly not helping. Look, everybody's frustrated. We're all justified in doing so, and that's, from the Beamer side of things, that's the price of the success that you had last year, that when your expectations are so high, when you're not meeting them, everybody's going to be even more upset with you and the program because you're not meeting the expectations that they set for you.
Yeah, I don't know. And again, we'll get to the phone calls. I see Eric. I see David. We're gonna get to you again. I got to step away for one segment real quick, and Tyler will carry us through 3 hours worth of very easy content today. because there's a lot. We'll play a lot of Beamer. I don't like being that guy. Tyler, there are 2 or 3 things with Shane Beamer that said on Saturday, and one in particular is the offensive line that is factually false. Factually false, and it's an excuse. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all, because now we're making excuses for here's the other part. I'd like to say, hey, this is one of the worst performances that I've seen. But you know what? I had to watch Mississippi last year.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking in terms of, like, is this the worst loss I've seen since in my time covering this team? That Ole Miss game was pretty bad. That one's hard to beat, but this one is at least in the conversation for it.
803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in. We will get to the phone calls. We'll let you weigh in. Again, all we ask, just no personal attacks.
Just talk football here.
And you can call it as you see it. You can tell us how bad a coach is. You can tell, just let's not attack their family. Let's not attack them. But you can certainly today be dead honest with what you've seen and where you're at. And I will do the same. Tyler's got an issue with the post-game press conference. He wants to get, am I right on that?
Yeah, I have some thoughts on it.
Okay. Yeah, we got a lot. It's going to be an honest show. I don't know if it's therapy. I don't know if it's rehab. I don't know what we're doing for the next 3 hours, but we're going to help you get through it. You're listening to Tyler Head, Bill Gunner, Captain David Adair. It is the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years they've been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And it's that proven history, that time, that is your assurance that their professionals will get the job done in a manner both that's pleasing, that is happy to your happy to your organization. And one of the reasons they've been in business for over 30 years is because of their customer service, being there for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call them on a Saturday or Sunday. You can call them on a Monday at midnight. Mid-State Roofing is there to help you. You'll speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee. So make the phone call today, 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. Give Mid-State Roofing a call today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
All right, welcome back in. It is the halftime show. Tyler Head and Bill Gunner along with you here on your Reaction Monday. Unfortunately, breaking down another tough loss for South Carolina, 26-7 to Oklahoma on Saturday, dropping them to 3-4 on the season and making that task of getting back to a bowl game that much tougher. We looked at this slate of 4 ranked opponents, and I think all agreed that Oklahoma seemed to be the most gettable. Great defense, obviously, and they showed that once again on Saturday, but the offense wasn't doing anything overly crazy this year, and really, quite frankly, didn't do anything overly crazy on Saturday. They ran the ball pretty effectively, and for the second game in a row, certainly concerned about South Carolina's ability to stop the run that had been pretty good for the most part early on in the season, but Oklahoma runs for 148 yards, averaged 7.8 yards carry on Saturday. Definitely concerning for South Carolina's defense, especially as you go into a slate against even more tough teams in Alabama this weekend, Ole Miss, A&M. So it's certainly not going to get any easier as these next handful of weeks go by. And again, you're in a position now where if you want to get to 6-6, which at the very least sends you to a Birmingham Bowl or something along those lines, you got to find a way to win one of these games. And again, college football's crazy. It's been a wild and chaotic year, but I don't see where the belief in the offense to be able to score into the 20s, which is what you're probably going to have to do against all of these teams you got coming up for the ability to win this game. Now, again, crazier things have happened, and maybe your defense and special teams help you out, and you should have one of those wild games, but I don't know how many of us are going into any of these games with the hope that, it's all going to come together.
You said it. They haven't scored more than 21 points since Texas A&M, Missouri. Missouri. What was the game before Clemson? Was it Texas? It was Missouri before Clemson, right?
I think it was Missouri before Missouri before A&M. I believe that was the last time the offense scored more than 21.
Let's go to the phone
against an FBS team. They beat Wofford, but I'm not going to.
Was that the last? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but that's Wofford. That's a different deal.
Well, then that changes it because the last one was Kentucky. Kentucky, they got 21. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's start with y'all. I just again, no personal attacks, preferably not on us either, by the way, but on the coaching staff. But if you want to talk about jobs and everything else, wide open. 803-404-6100. Let's go to Eric. Eric, how you doing, buddy? What's on your mind?
I'm good. How are y'all doing today?
I am fantastic, actually.
So up front, I'm a Clemson fan, but I pull for Carolina when they're not playing against Clemson. I grew up going to all the Clemson or South Carolina games when I was a young kid. My dad swam for South Carolina. My uncle played baseball for South Carolina. And just everybody says I was dropped on my head. I became a Clemson fan. But I think that Clemson and South Carolina are both going through the same thing right now. I think they both have talented quarterbacks. Actually, I believe that South Carolina's quarterback is probably more talented than Clemson's quarterback is. I think they're both stuck with bad offensive coordinators. And I agree with Shane Beamer when Shane was looking for a new offensive coordinator and everybody was like, go after Riley, go after Riley, go after Riley. And he said, I remember him saying this, just because you have a famous last name doesn't mean you're that same caliber. And Dabo didn't listen to that, and he went after Riley. And everybody thought, oh, this is going to be great for Clemson. Not so much. I was at the Clemson game yesterday. I left that game before the end of the first quarter. They just suck right now. They really do. And it didn't help that their starting quarterback, Cade Klubnik, is sitting on the bench because of the injury. But their offenses are just not working at all. South Carolina, I don't know what's been going on with them for like the last, 5-6 years or so, 7 years maybe, that their offensive line has just not been good. They've had talent. They get 4- and 5-star guys. Something's going wrong. I don't know what's going on with their offensive line. And I have a feeling that if South Carolina ends up having a bad season, which so far they are, either their quarterback is going to leave and go to another school to finish out his career, or he's going to leave and try to go pro, which probably won't be very good because he won't get drafted high if they have a really bad season like they're having. I think that Shane is a good coach, and I think Dabo's a good coach. The problem with both of them is that neither one of them were coordinators, and so if they were to go and fire their offensive coordinators, who are they going to have finish out the year? I think they're both really good at building organizations, really good at getting fan bases behind them. I think Dabo has probably gotten a little bit too much success in his head and needs to reel it back and realize, he's still a college coach. He's not the end-all, be-all. I love Dabo, but he's got to figure some things out. I think Shane is stuck in a situation where he knows he maybe doesn't have the right people in place, but there's nothing he can do about it right now. And I'd like your opinion on that.
Appreciate the phone call, Eric. So, I don't know. We got 3 hours, and I'm focused on other stuff, and you open up a huge can of worms about that. I think, number one, if you want to go with Clemson, the decline has been coming. Mm-hmm. And I say that I'll never forget talking to a coach back. To another college not head coach, football coach, but another college football coach back in about 2015, 2016, 2017, and that ballpark when Clemson was rolling. And their point was, you do not understand what Dabo is doing. We all recruit five-star talent. We all have elite talent. Dabo is recruiting not only five-star talent, he's recruiting five-star guys. He said Dabo is one of the few coaches and maybe the only one who can go to bed at night and not worry about getting a phone call about Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence or Dexter Lawrence or any of those guys creating trouble. He goes, they've got great players and good kids, and you saw that start to drop off. Mm-hmm. And you've seen it drop off. And if you look at their recruiting rankings, the recruiting rankings have gone from top 5s to now top 15s, and they're sliding even a little bit more. And I'm not going to go down the path of, well, it could be this, it could be that, it could be this, who knows. But I think that's come gradually. South Carolina was 9-3 last year. And while that doesn't mean a whole lot, ask Florida State 2 years ago, what has occurred is mind-boggling as to the drop-off on everything. And maybe it's, look, they lost 5 offensive talented players too. Josh Simon, Rocket Sanders, 3 interior offensive linemen. Yep. We didn't make enough of that. But my good, again, we just pointed out, you can't get over basically 20 points, and you can't score more than 20 points in a game. And you said it, the game goes up, Oklahoma goes up 17-7. It felt like it was 37-7.
Yeah.
Especially Oklahoma's defense played what Oklahoma's defense did. Again, Oklahoma didn't play a good game. John Mateer had the least passing yards of his now, he didn't have to because the running back had a career high in running yards for 100 yards. But that's kind of how it went. Yeah,
and again, if this was a one-game thing and Oklahoma did what they did to you, and say, okay, that's Oklahoma's defense being Oklahoma's defense. But again, it falls in line with everything else that we'd seen in the first 6 games of the season. It didn't really look that much different. Now, again, you had your lowest yardage total since the Clemson game 2 years ago, so that is something significant. But again, it's what we've seen this entire year, and part of it is execution, which is what Beamer has brought up, but some of the decision-making in terms of what plays were being called in what situations drove you crazy. And look, there were multiple Fire Shula chants that rang through Williams-Brice Stadium as the game went on Saturday. They got louder every single time, and I understand where fans are coming from for wanting that. Again, do I think that change is going to be made in season? No, because as the last caller pointed out, I don't know who you're going to have to call plays. You don't really have a bench of guys that have the experience doing that. So I think you're riding with Shula the next 5 games regardless, but nobody is wrong in feeling that frustration and wanting to vent it about where this offense is at now.
I don't know if you do that. I don't know, like, you say ride with Shula next. You're right, but listen, Mike Furry's been a head coach before. Sean Elliott ran an offense. Now, did he call plays? No. I don't. You are right. I don't know who you turn to. Mm-hmm. I have no clue.
Blackwell was a co-OC at Houston.
Who?
Markwell Blackwell. He was a co-OC at Houston at one point.
But by committee, I don't know. I got no idea. But I don't know. 803-404-6100. We'll get into a little bit more on the offense, and Tyler wants to take a little bit of it. There was more to just Saturday's game than the game. There was a press conference and Tyler wants to get into that. I got to take issue with something that was said specifically about the offensive line that I find to be an excuse. We're going to try and call it. We're calling it as we see it. We're just asking you for no personal attacks. David, I see you on the phone line. We'll definitely get to you when we come back. You're listening to the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder, and First Palmetto Bank. That's right. Now, boy, we are almost through the month of October, and you might be thinking about what you want to do with your home in 2026. Now is the time. You don't want to wait until 2026. You want to start the process now. I just saw Jacob a little while ago. He was telling me how great the interest rates are becoming, how now is the time to get in touch with him. So do that today. 803-719-1005. If you're thinking about refinancing, it's a great time to do it right now. You just got to see what is available to you, what your credit score is, what interest rate you can get applied for, maybe how much you got to put down. If you're thinking about building a home, First Palmetto Bank has a no-nonsense construction loan that is ready to help you. So call the Mortgage Guru today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Well, good news. The sun came up. Sun came up yesterday. I think it did. Did it come up yesterday?
It rained a lot yesterday. I don't recall seeing it, but I'm sure it did.
I know there was a big day at the fair. That was a big day at the fair. But the sun came up. Life goes on. Football continues. It was another great weekend of college football. We'll get to that.
Wild weekend.
Yeah, just I've said it before. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's me currently having to live a little bit of a different lifestyle because of the health issue I went through and not consuming football the way I used to. I'm consuming more football, like with 2 TVs constantly, watching games literally from midnight to I almost made it to Stanford, Florida State.
Almost made it to the end. That was a crazy ending too, by the way.
Almost made it. But with all that being said, it feels like college football is delivering more so this year than ever. The product on the field is gorgeous. The product off the field is just, I get it. But 803-404-6100. Let's go back to the phone lines. David wants to weigh in today. David, how you doing? What's on your mind?
Hey, Bill. Hey, Tyler. I'm good. How are y'all?
Good.
So I hope it's not comparing apples to oranges when I ask this question, but in my mind, South Carolina has kind of become Vanderbilt now, right? And, like, they can see that and see it's an easy win, at least for this season. How does South Carolina rebound and be able to do what Vanderbilt has done, and even in a school like Indiana where I would like to think South Carolina can get more money and can get better talent? I'm not saying those other schools don't, but it definitely feels like South Carolina has kind of gotten left behind in this NIL money, however you want to phrase it. And is it like the not developing the talent well, or is it just missing on guys? Like, what do you guys think the issue is? Because I get it, you went 9-3 last year, which is great, that's good, but it just seems like there's been a talent deficit, whether it be the offensive line or, you know, everything else. I mean, when South Carolina went 2-10 in 2020, they still had a 1,000-yard rusher. So it seems like Carolina's is falling behind the 8 ball when it comes to trying to get and develop, like, not get talent, but maybe develop the talent and get the most out of them. That's what I see. I'd like to know y'all's opinion, and thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, and I think you can start right up front with the offensive line, which goes back to why the decision was made with Lonnie Teasy last week to move on from him, because that's a group that they'd routinely been bringing in, 4- and 5-star talent left and right, and for the most part, and when they get on the field, it wasn't translating. And again, now you've made that move, and you're still seeing the repercussions of that. So yeah, that's something that does filter through the rest of the team as well, where you don't feel like a lot of these guys are living up to their full potential. And it does. Execution is still an issue to a degree as well, which is what Beamer, has brought up a lot when it comes to struggles of the offense. Doesn't help when it's being coupled with less than ideal play calling as well. But when a team is 3-4, nobody's absolved from blame. Like, it's all, everybody can have a finger pointed at them to some degree. And again, when you look at the lack of development for a lot of guys, that's certainly something on the table.
Well, all right, let's do this for a second here. Number one, football, all sports, basketball, football, baseball, and remember this coming up with basketball and baseball specifically for South Carolina. It's a year-to-year basis.
Sure.
You can change things. It used to not be that you could change. It used to be you have to build up for 2 or 3 or 4 years. That's not the case anymore. But now, and then that goes both ways, right? That goes both ways. You can have a really good year, and you can completely fall off the map, and then you can bounce back. I don't think it's a talent issue. I am going to speculate, and maybe I shouldn't do this, and this is going to anger, I know, some people down at the athletic department, but I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think there's a lot of players on that team that spent 9 months reading their press clippings. I'm not saying they didn't go to workouts. I'm not saying that they didn't put in the work. I'm not saying that they sat around all summer playing video games, hanging out on the lake, eating Swiss cake rolls. I don't think they put in the work necessary to take the next step. They don't look. Have you seen, and Jack, I think it was Jack, and we're going to get to Jack here in a second. I think it was Jack put up a video of Josiah Thompson. Have you seen this video?
Before the game?
No, the block.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Well, excuse me. Block indicates that he touched the guy. It's one-on-one.
Yeah.
I can't explain how there's a 5-star All-American offensive lineman who might be having the worst offensive line year I've ever seen. Again, I know I'm being critical. Yes, I'm being critical, but guess what? That's what we're allowed to do. We have a platform, and if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong and people get upset down there, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. That block, if you haven't seen it, maybe we'll retweet it or something. I think, again, Jack Veltri has it out on Josiah Thompson, and it is atrocious. And I'd love to tell you, well, that was one time that it happened to Josiah Thompson this year, and he's been very good at it. It hasn't been. And you and I have talked about that, and you and I might have been in the forefront of this very early in the season. I think there are other players who read press clippings, who lived off of 9-3, who have just simply not lived up, who did not do what they needed to do. And again, I think they worked hard. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
I'm not trying to say they skipped workouts and the culture down there went bad. Tyler, there's a level of work you got to put into if you want to go from 9-3 to being a college football playoff team.
Yeah, and that's
especially in this league.
Yeah, sure. And that's the interesting challenge they had in the offseason was this was the first time that they really had that large amount of belief behind them outside of the bubble here in Carolina. I mean, there was some hype after the 22 season with the wins they had against Clemson and Tennessee, and that generated a little bit of buzz, but nothing like last year where, again, you were the hottest team in the last 6 games of the regular season. You were in the conversation for the playoff. Sellers were getting a ton of buzz. Like, it was at another level that hadn't been seen in basically a decade around here. And that was the first time for Beamer as a head coach that his team was having to deal with that. And again, you can look at what they're doing in practice and all that kind of stuff, and it looks fine, but there's a different layer to that. I guess the psychological layer to it where you try not to let it get to their heads, and maybe it did. I don't know. Again, we're not there in the building. We don't go to practices, but, again, when, as I said earlier, when things are as rough as they are right now, nothing's off the table when it comes to scrutiny, and that's something that certainly could have played a part in where we're at right now.
We'll come back to this. Texter says, you must not have been talking to me. You must not have been watching Trevon Ball, number 78. I think he graded out at like a 76.4 on PFF. 76 is good at a 16.
Yeah, it was low on that, and we didn't really get into the specifics of the first drive, but the blown 4th down on the first drive that turned the ball over downs. I think it was Ball that blew the block that allowed the guy in Sellers' face to basically killed the play from there. So yeah, he had a rough day.
I tell you what, I know you want to get to the Jack thing. There's another thing from Shane Beamer's press conference that kind of bothered me on Saturday that I want to bring up. We'll get to all that when we come back. You're listening to the Halftime Show. 12:49 on a Monday. Ooh, boy, on a Monday. Weigh in. And I'll get to a lot of your texts coming up in the next hour. A lot of y'all are texting in, and I do want to get to your opinions and let you share those and work some off your chest as well. But as bad as the game was, the press conference afterwards to explain the game, and look, Shane took ownership. He said it's his fault.
Sure.
He said, hey, I'm not getting them done. The job is with me. I'm not getting it done. But I'm interested. You and I don't like talking to you about sometimes about our thoughts and opinions on things that happen because I love hearing them in real time so that
Sure.
I can react.
Sure.
Jack Velcher does a show with you.
Yeah.
Jack is becoming, and this is strange for me real quick, Tyler, because I've been around now for a while.
Yeah.
And I've seen all these old reporters come through, and now I'm seeing these young wave of reporters come through. But Jack's becoming one of the better ones. And there was an exchange that he asked a legitimate question on, and it's just the way the response came. Go ahead, call for it. And
Yeah. Here's the clip for those that haven't heard it. Cut number 16 here. This is what happened when Jack was asking Shane a question on Saturday after the game.
Shane, in the middle here, it's 7 games now. The offense has just continued to struggle. At some point, do you feel like a change is needed, whether it's...
I made a change last week, Jack.
But I'm talking about the play calling.
Every week, we're continuing to look at how to be better, and every week I do that. And every week, I will continue to do that and continue to evaluate that.
What gives you hope that the play
Next
calling...
question.
Okay.
What gives me hope? I see the way we practice during the week. What gives me hope? I see the number of guys that we had out today that I wasn't even sure was going to be able to play, that fought their asses off to get back out there and get healthy and be able to play today. What gives me hope? I know the talent we have on our offense. And what I just told our team, we're not playing up to our potential right now. I am not getting the most out of this team right now, offensively, defensively, and special teams.
And Jack handled himself like a pro in that situation. And then when he addressed it earlier on this morning on our show, and he is not requesting an apology or anything like that. He's moved on from it and, is handling it professionally as you would expect him to. And look, post-game, there was probably a million places in the world that Shane Beamer wanted to be besides in a press conference answering questions about how his team performed that day. I get that, but it was a fair question. And he's right. They did make a change last week, moving on from Liner Teasley, but especially considering the fact that Beamer had never made a change in season, I think that leads people to believe, okay, well, if that's possible, anything else is, right? So when you look at the offensive performance that you had, I don't think it's out of the realm to say, okay, well, you made that change last week with what you saw out of your offensive line. Is that something you would be entertaining and doing right now? And Jack wasn't specifically asking about firing. He just said a change in general, which can mean a lot of different things. And again, Beamer gave the response that he gave, which I didn't think was great. And look, I don't anticipate Shula being fired. As I said, I think you're still riding with him through the last 5 games of the regular season, and that's something you address in the offseason. I just think Beamer could have answered the question better, because here's the thing, and if you look at the reactions on Twitter and everywhere else, everybody's on Jack's side here. I think at the end of the day, it made Beamer look worse in that situation. Again, I got all the respect in the world for Beamer. I don't know him personally like Jack and many other people here at the radio station do, but I don't think Beamer did himself any favors by answering the question in the way they did. And if you ask him that question again, and there was a question similarly asked on Sunday, and his response was a whole lot better, a lot more thought out. It was just in the moment of things being in the post game, but again, it reflected negatively on him, which again reflects negatively on the program at the end of the day. I just think he could have handled it better if he gave a basic coach speak answer. If we're evaluating things, understand why you're asking the question, and we'll assess things as the season goes, then nobody's talking about it. But I think it was the and the next question part of it as well to kind of shut down what Jack was further trying to ask that made this go as viral as it did at the end of the day.
It shows that feels like there's more to what's going on than what we see on that. I get it. Shane's stressed.
Yeah.
And Shane is an ultimate competitor, and I really do get that. Nobody likes to lose, and nobody likes to get the rear end beat at home, but you have to have a way, and this is me having covered Steve Spurrier and Will Muschamp and Darren Horn and Frank Martin and others coaches here at the university. You have to have a way of, when you don't like a question, having a very quick, politically correct answer, and not even politically correct, but not
coach speak.
And when you say next question, that bothers me. There's a lot of it that kind of doesn't bother me, but then there's that part that says next question as if that's a dumb question and I'm not answering yours anymore. A couple of y'all weighing in. Texter says Wayne says he gets paid way too much money to act like that. Another texter weighs in and says he doesn't get to treat reporters asking legit questions that way. He loves the rah-rah, then he needs to address the bad. Another texter weighs in, Beamer is nothing but a spoiled brat. Can we one day have a real coaching staff? I wouldn't go that far, all right? I would, but
nobody likes to lose.
Nobody likes to lose. But again, I'll say this. There's a level of addressing a question that you don't like. And we made fun of Dabo Swinney about stuff like this. We've made fun of Dabo Swinney. There's a level of addressing a question. Will it blow over? Yeah. By next Saturday, will we forget? By the end of the year, will we forget? Yes. But in the time being, right now, this program, as I said, is facing a lot of adversity. Hour or two on the way. We got some stuff to talk about. Oh, it's a Monday. Sun came up. Life went on. We have more games next week. We have Monday Night Football. We have tonight one of the greatest events in sports. You know what that is, right?
It's Game 7.
Game 7. Boy, that series has been...
And wild, man. Meanwhile, the Dodgers, they got their feet kicked up just waiting for Friday.
I just, yeah. But, no, it's, man, I tell you, that's been a wild series. Tonight's going to be a lot of fun. You got some Monday Night Football taking place tonight that'll be pretty entertaining. We're not stuck with the Dolphins and the Jets, which makes everything just a little bit better. You actually have a decent game tonight when it comes to actually you got two. I forgot about that.
Yeah, doubleheader.
Yeah, I forgot about Houston and Seattle. I was really thinking about the really good one, Tampa Bay and Detroit. I'm excited. 7:00 too. I'm excited about that because Baker Mayfield, baby, woo,
MVP.
That's right.
Looking like it.
And then Dan Campbell and Jared Goff and the Lions. That game's in Ford Field. Lions are a 6.5-point favorite, but that I hope that's a good one. I'm geared up. Might be a grilling out kind of night and getting things going. And then there's a late one, by the way, Houston and Seattle, 10:00 out in Seattle. So you got a doubleheader. Count me in, man.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of liking these doubleheader Monday night games. Is there a reason I just didn't see? Is this the NFL being like, we're going?
They've done it in the past couple years. I personally like when they do a staggered start. So one game starts at 7:15, one game starts at 8:15. That way, one game's at halftime. You can go and check out the other game. And again, most of us probably aren't going to see the end of the second game because it's not going to end until 1 or 1:30 in the morning. So I do like the doubleheader and when you have the staggered start games, if one game sucks, then you can watch the other game and we had that a couple weeks ago. The Bills and the Dolphins and the playing somebody. It was a really bad game, and the other game was better. Washington was playing somebody. I forget who it was, but yeah. And look, the NFL they could put a game on at 5 a.m. on a Wednesday, and people would watch it, and they know that they would watch it. So they're just continuing to make money at the end of the day.
You put any kind of sports on it. You put any kind of sports on at any point. I'm pretty much in. Real quick, just coming out. This is per Gamecock Central, per the SEC. South Carolina, Mississippi, 3:30 kick on ABC.
Road game. Okay, so that's 2 straight ABC 3:30 kicks for you. National television.
Yep. So the Rebels game coming up on November 1st will be a 3:30 game. Gamecocks will head to Vaught Hemingway Stadium, and we'll deal with that when we got to. We'll probably spend a lot more time tomorrow on the big picture of college. There's so much to digest from what we had to.
Today is mainly Gamecocks. That's all right.
Yeah, 803-404-6100. If you want to weigh in with your opinions this afternoon, I certainly want to get to a lot of y'all's. Russ weighs in. He's the one that said the spoiled brat. He said, I apologize. It just got too crazy, just very frustrated. We're all frustrated.
Yeah.
We're all frustrated. That's the thing. That's the worst thing about it.
And, if this was off the heels of a 5-7 year, then still be frustrated, but the expectations would not have been as high as they were going into the year, which makes the inevitable letdown that much worse. And, again, you're looking at what might be your most talented quarterback you've ever had. And we saw last year what he was capable of doing in that offense under Dow Loggins, and now you're not seeing it. And the help around him's not there, but the way of the ball being put in his hands is not the same as it was a year ago either.
People might not like this, but it's time to push back on the most talented quarterback that South Carolina has ever had. Lenore Sellers is a very good quarterback. There is nothing wrong with Lenore Sellers, but there are I can't watch him scramble around another time and not throw the ball away. He finally did it towards the end of the game.
He did.
He finally did it towards the end of the game. But there are things like Lenoris is good, and he's getting little help now. I think the wide receivers are coming along.
Mm-hmm.
I do actually really like the wide receivers, and I think South Carolina is building something there if they can continue to hold on to them. But we're gonna have to sit back and address this. Well, Lenoris is a generational talent. Lenoris is this. Lenoris is that. Are all the skills there? Oh, my goodness, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is a howitzer for an arm. He can break tackles. He's big. He does a lot of great things. But in terms of playing the quarterback position, right now, in my opinion, there's a lot to be desired.
Maybe the better way to phrase it is highest athletic upside of anybody.
Okay.
Maybe. Because, again, regardless of how the season ends up, there are still teams that would probably still draft him in the first round based on
people are gonna,
what
he's Anthony
capable of.
Richardson
Yeah,
right now.
Same, maybe not an apples to apples comparison, but same type of deal that the stats may not matter as much as, hey, here's what this guy can do and is capable of, and if we get him in our organization, he's going to be able to do X, Y, and Z.
803-404-6100. Let's go back to the phone lines. Bobby wants to weigh in this afternoon. Bobby, thank you for staying on hold. How you doing? What's on your mind?
Hey, Bill. Hey, Tyler. Now, I know you said we can't do personal attacks, but can I attack the guy that called in and said he pulls for Clemson and Carolina? Because I'm ready to call ICE on that guy. I mean, that's an abomination. That's the worst thing I've heard all weekend, and I sat through the whole game Saturday. But listen, yeah, you know what? Bill, your point is well taken. I remember I talked to you last week, and you actually said that after I hung up, and I said, you know what, he's got a point. As far as Lenoris, I think we're going to have to make a delineation between who's got the most physical talent that we've ever had playing quarterback versus who, you know, if things go like this the rest of the season. Because, I mean, the numbers, and obviously it's not Lenoris all his fault, but, I mean, isn't he averaging something like 160 yards passing and 20 yards rushing, maybe less than that after this game for the season? And we're at game 7. And so I'm with you 100% on that. The other thing I thought just really stood out is, and I guess it shouldn't have come as a surprise, but, you know, I told you that I thought I was worried that the biggest mismatch maybe all year was going to be our offense. You know, going up against Brent Venables' defense versus, you know, obviously Shula calling our offense, and it did just turn out to just be a total mismatch, and I just felt like in today's college football, guys, I'd be curious to know, you know, your thoughts if you agree. Now that the talent is being spread out among these programs, I mean, we're seeing it. The 5 stars, the 4 stars, you can transfer, you can get the NIL going, and you can pluck a couple of guys. And so the talent's being redistributed. I think now more than ever, people used to say it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Jimmies and Joes. Okay, that's true to some extent, but I think X's and O's and having a scheme and having an advantage there is so important now, maybe more now than in previous eras of college football. Do you agree with that? And do you think, you know, that will weigh into Shane's feelings about what he does after the season with our offensive game plan and our OC?
I appreciate the phone call, Bobby, and thank you for agreeing with me a little bit.
By the way, Sellers averaging 162 passing yards per game, which is last of SEC starting quarterbacks.
And again, I don't put that all on him. Now, he did but here's the point. He did miss a pass on Saturday, and I can't remember. He missed one to Donovan Murph that was downfield, that Murph was open. He missed a pass that was another kind of curl route in the middle of the field that he completely overthrew. He's throwing some to Vandrevius Jacobs downfield in tight one-on-one coverage. He did that against Missouri when South Carolina had a chance to go down and tie it, and he kind of took two chances against Missouri. So again, there's a lot there. I have no clue what's about to happen. I got no clue. I don't know. Look, the prospects right now don't write them off. Don't write South Carolina off. But, Tyler, the day I came back, the day after the Monday after the Missouri game, okay?
Right.
I came back after the Missouri game. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
I asked you, when do you know who a team is? When do we really know? Preston and I used to have this conversation. They can't score.
No.
Alabama scores.
They do. A lot, quite a bit.
Alabama knows how to score football. Mississippi scores.
Yes, a lot.
Texas A&M knows how to play really good defense, and it's on the road.
They can score at times, too.
And they can score. I don't know. I can't speak for Coastal and Clemson. Who knows? I don't know.
I don't know what Clemson's going to be by the time that game rolls around.
I don't know what anybody.
I don't know if either team is going to be going to a bowl game.
That's oh boy. But my point on that being is like, you know, and again, I looked at the point spread for 13.5 this week for the Alabama game, and my very initial thought was, that's low. And then I thought Alabama has just played this juggernaut of a schedule. They're not that I think they're going to lose, but they're due for one of those games where Ty Simpson comes out and isn't crisp, and Jam Miller isn't crisp, and everybody's just, you know, and they slogged like a 24 to South Carolina somehow gets to 10 victory, and you go, well, it's 13.5. That's covering by half a point. I don't know, but the point that I have on this is just I don't know what Shane Beamer is going to do at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he's going to do. I don't assume he's going to Virginia Tech. He addressed that again last night in the teleconference.
He did.
And he's trying to be point blank clear that he's not going to Virginia Tech. And let's also be very clear about this. I don't really care what happens the remainder of the season. Shane Beamer is not being fired.
No, that's not going to happen.
Okay, Shane Beamer is not being fired, and he should not. He should not. Now, should he go on the hot seat? Yes, but he should not be fired. He should be held, I don't want to say more accountable. He's already held accountable, but yes, he should go on the hot seat, but Shane Beamer is not being fired. If Shane Beamer wants to be the head coach of the University of South Carolina in 2026, not only will he be, but he deserves the right to be to fix this.
Right.
So, and as I've said, football now is a year-to-year basis, Tyler, whereas we just said you can go in that transfer portal and figure things out and completely revamp your team right away. And the next thing you know, maybe you're not 12-0, but you're closer to 9-3 or 10-2 or 8-4.
Well, think about last year. You came off a 5-7 year, and you really hit it out of the park with most of your transferable ads. A lot of those guys that have gone on to play in the NFL now. So, yeah, you're only one off season away from getting things back on the right track, and certainly capable of doing that this offseason. But you're right. If he wants to be here, he's going to be here for 2026. I don't have any doubts about that.
And I'm fine with that. And that's. He deserves that. And again, he deserves the opportunity to be here and to turn things around. But certainly some things have got to be turned around. 803-404-6100. One of the things that bothered me was a comment about injuries and the offensive line on Saturday, because I did like the way they warmed up. Didn't really pay off. But I liked watching Sean Elliott warm them up. But there was a comment that Shane Beamer said, and I'm going to address it with you, and I want to hear your take on it, about the offensive line and the injuries they have. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Tyler Head, Captain David Dare. It's producer Ed Bird. I'm sorry, producer Ed Bird. It's the halftime show. Monday afternoon. We got a lot for you going on this week. 1 o'clock tomorrow, Shane Beamer's press conference. We'll get to hear from him for the first time. I'm going to be fascinated to hear his tone of voice.
He's usually in a pretty good mood by Tuesday. Or he's at least, calm down. And I listened to most of the teleconference last night, and I thought his answers there were fine. He wasn't short with anybody or anything like that. Again, going back to the comments on Jack's question and stuff, like you're talking about minutes after an ugly, embarrassing loss where your fans walked out early and were chanting for you to fire offense coordinator. I get it. Emotions are high. And, again, I think he could have answered that question better. But, when he has a little bit of time to decompress, he usually kind of comes down to earth a little bit.
Well, again, Steve Spurrier had one after the Tennessee game where he just basically stormed out after about 3 or 4 minutes. It happens. It happens. Shane's not the only one that's ever happened to. It's just right now your leader has to show composure, has to show that they understand what's going on, and that was an ugly moment for him. Quick correction: I misread. I believe I misread. Tyler and I are debating this. The South Carolina-Mississippi game is still a flex time. Great. Thank you, SEC. 3:30, 7 o'clock, or 7:30 on ESPN, ABC is what has been announced. So I said 3:30, but the way I read it was that the game has been set for 3:30. But Tyler reread it and helped me out there. It'll either be 3:37 or 7:30.
Yeah, I think you may have been reading about how this weekend's games is 3:30 on ABC against Alabama, and the next weekend could be, but there's still the option for that to be a night game. And as always, they'll be finalized Monday after all these weekends, or Sunday, I guess, after all these weekends. Yeah, sometimes we find out on Saturday. We found out the Alabama game was at 3:30 last Saturday when they were beating Missouri, maybe, or whatever that was, or maybe during the Carolina game. So yeah, we'll find out next week when that game kicks, but it will not be a nooner, so you know that much.
Let's get back to the phone lines. I want to get to this injury thing that bothers me a little bit, but let's get to the phone lines. Brad wants to weigh in. Brad, how you doing? What's on your mind this afternoon regarding the game?
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call. I've been listening for weeks now. Sellers is this. He's Heisman. First round pick. This, that, and the third. When are we going to start putting a little blame on him? He's not a first round pick. He's not high. What he is his numbers look like Dondrell Pinkins. Matter of fact, Dondrell Pinkins probably through this many games has probably got better numbers than him. He's last in the SEC. This has been going on since the bowl game. It almost looks like the line just really don't want to block for him, which happens. These guys are players too. They're not making $4-3 million, and there's no rah-rah on the sideline, or nobody talks to the guy when he comes off the sideline. It's just, when are we going to start putting a little bit of blame on him? And I'll hang up and listen.
I appreciate the phone call, Brad. Tyler, I think you and I have been putting some blame on him.
Yeah, he's had his own share of mistakes.
Now, we, Tyler and I can't speak for anybody else here at 107.5 The Game or anywhere else. We have not promoted him as a first-round pick. We have repeated that ESPN and CBS Sports and the draft analysts have suggested this. Last week we read the Mel Kiper big board that had him at 21. So we're not the ones saying, hey, he's
pro scouts don't always look at statistics. It's, again, athleticism, upside, all those kind of things. And as you can see with how the season's gone, there's still many out there that think he's capable of being the first round pick, which is why, and again, if you think a guy is capable of being that high, then there's a level that you expect him to format in college, which is kind of how it all circles back around when we talk about him. But no, that's not my opinion, because I'm not a evaluator of talent at that level. But you see the mock drafts, and they're all pretty consistent in having him somewhere in the first round because of what he is capable of, or they believe he's capable of.
For the record, Lenore Sellers personally has taken 25 sacks so far on the season. And again, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. I don't know how many, if you were to do it, Tyler, how many fall directly on him doing some of the stuff that he does, and how many are just the offensive line absolutely whiffing on a block. I mean, again, I mentioned the Josiah Thompson missed block on Saturday, and if you haven't seen it, it's on Twitter. If you haven't seen it, my goodness, my goodness. And look, again, Oklahoma's got a good defensive line. Let's not say that this is just a group of bums that were out there rushing the quarterback, but there's a lot more on that. 803-404-6100. I tell you what, we're going to hit a break. We're going to come back. I want to get to this because speaking of offensive line, Shane Beamer brought up something about the offensive line, saying there was injuries to it, and I want to address this when we come back. You're listening to the Halftime Show.
Tyred here for our friends over at Tilly's Warehouse, the first wine and spirit store in 5 Points in 20 years. Locally family-owned and operated right over there on Green Street behind the Salty Nut Cafe in the old Pavlov's building. They got everything that you need for a fun night, a fun weekend, tailgating, hanging out with family and friends, whatever you need, they've got it. Things like G4 Tequila. Things like High Noons. They got Sun Cruises by the case. They got ready-to-drink options by the cash register as well. They also have a Class B license, so if you're a bar down there in 5 Points, need to restock, they have got you covered. You can also mention this ad that you heard on 107.5 The Game and get 10% off any wine selection as well. Stay connected with them on Instagram and Facebook or visit their website, TillysWarehouse.com, for more information. Discover why Tilly's is your new must-visit spot over in 5 Points.
Just a reminder. Now, will it be you this week? Do we know? 10:30, Jay's Corner?
I'm there every week.
Tyler
I believe Terry will be back this weekend. He wasn't there this past weekend, but I think he's back this weekend.
I'm interested to see what this crowd is this week.
And by the way, quick shout out because we did our show really early on Saturday for this early kick, and we got to meet some Oklahoma fans. Very nice.
Good. Yeah.
The Oklahoma fans that I saw throughout the day on Saturday, very nice. Even after the game, not arrogant or anything like that. So a shout out to Oklahoma fans that came in, and I'm sure they did have a good time, not only at the game, but hopefully here in Columbia. Maybe they went to the state fair as well. But seems like a good fan base.
Yeah. But this coming Saturday at 10:30, Gamecock Game Day live from Jay's Corner. It'll be Tyler and Terry, and you can go join them 10:15 Rosewood Drive over there, leading up to kickoff at 3:30. Here is Shane Beamer, and I took a little exception with some of this. We're going to play the whole clip, but I'll get to what really kind of grinded my gears a little bit on injuries. Here is Shane Beamer talking Saturday afternoon after the game about the injuries.
Injury-wise, it was tough today. We're down 3 guys that have started games for us on the offensive line this season to begin with, and then we had 3 guys on the offensive line go out with injuries during the game. We lose Dylan Stewart during the game. You're right about the hip. The official told me they looked at it and that it wasn't. So I don't know, but he left with a hip and was unable to return. A little bit of a mash unit on both sides of the ball up front, but that's what there's a lot that hurts about this game, Todd, but just we got good kids on this team, and seeing how hard they fought to be able to play. Monkel Goodwine and Gabe Brownlow Dindy, we didn't know if they were going to be able to play. I mean, they were limited in practice, and Kale got hurt in practice on Thursday, and we weren't sure was going to be able to go. The way they fought, gutted it out today. Brandon Cisse, Marquis Anderson, Vakari Swain breaks his finger in practice on Wednesday, has surgery Wednesday night, and is back in the building and ready to go on Thursday, and texted me Wednesday night, I'm playing. And this is after he just broke his finger and had to go get surgery for it. So, and not only did he play, he went back there and returned punts. So we got so many good kids on our team, and are hurt for them that I'm not able to help them right now better than I am. But we need to get healthy. We're particularly up front. We got way too many injuries right now, and we're not at our best from a physical standpoint for sure.
All right. It's not that I don't disagree with Shane Beamer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's fine. He mentioned 3 guys that were out.
Yes.
Who were those 3 guys?
On the offensive line?
Yes.
Kason Henry, Nolan Hay, and then
Marquis Anderson.
Marquis Anderson, that's right.
No,
Marquis Anderson played. Got to look back at the availability report again.
Yeah, pull that back up.
Yep.
Here's my thing, and I can be wrong about this, and it's just my opinion. And obviously now, knowing what we know, you can easily say, well, that shouldn't have been the way it was. He says that 3 guys were out.
Shivers was a game-time decision, but only 2 were officially out on the offensive line.
You started 4 people who were in the original starting line. Shed Surratt was injured the first game. He didn't play.
Yeah.
But you started 4 guys. You have 4 guys that are capable of starting that were in your initial starting lineup. Josiah Thompson, Shed Surratt, Boaz Stanley, who started, Travon Ball, and then obviously Kason Henry is out. So to me, Tyler, and I don't want this to, this is me. This is Bill Gunner. This is talking, again, not speaking for anybody at 107.5 The Game. I'm not trying to call Shane Beamer out. That's not what I'm trying to accomplish here. But I don't like this comment when 4 dudes, and a 5th in Tree Babalade, who has widely been considered a potential starter or the 5th or the 6th starter, is fully capable of starting for you. Now, Shed Surratt got injured. Surratt got injured, and they went with Rodney Newsome Jr., and that didn't go well. But, like, I don't want to hear about all the complete injuries when it feels like you've had most of your offensive. Not all. This isn't like 2003 where you basically were holding tryouts on campus.
Yeah, 2023. Yeah, 2023, they got down to what he said. He didn't have enough guys for a backup unit at any point. Like, you were really raised within, and there have been a fair amount of injuries that have happened on the O-line this year, but it's not to the degree that where it was. And again, we've talked about it. The Case Henry has probably performed best out of all your offensive linemen so far this year at right tackle. But I don't think it's like a crazy difference with what you've seen between him and Tree. And like you said, Tree is somebody that's been capable of starters, been around for a couple of years now. So I don't view that as an area where the loss was like this massive gap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of my point. Like, you can talk about injuries. Now, Dylan Stewart was a big injury, and my personal opinion, we are not going to hear a peep on Dylan. So he'll be on the injury report, and I got a feeling he'll be, what is it, doubtful? That's my guess. That's my guess. I think he'll be down the list of where you put him when we get these injury reports later in the week. But there is no doubt in my mind, I don't see Shane Beamer addressing that. Hip pointers also. I've never had a hip pointer. I quite frankly don't understand what a hip pointer is. But I know they're painful.
Oh, yeah.
And in Dylan Stewart's defense, I don't think he quit. I think he tried to play through it. He got injured. He came back out there for one play. He tried to make a cut or kind of do something there. It didn't work, and he was out again and done for the game. And you could tell visibly, I was watching him. He came over. You could tell visibly he was extremely upset on the sideline.
Sure, yeah. No, I don't think he quit on the team or the game or anything either. That's a tricky injury, and you're right. He did go back out there and got injured right away once again, and for if precautionary reasons, nothing else, that them saying, hey, we don't need you to get further hurt here. We're going to need you for this tough slate of games coming up. We'll survive with what we got for today. But, yeah, that was probably the smarter play to keep him out for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. And, look, you got to protect the player. And, like I said, he went back out there. He was giving it his all. But he definitely, I don't even know if he was 70%. And he may not be back this week. And yes, that will hurt. That'll be dramatic. But the offensive line, like, you can't tell me, well, Nolan Hayes started and played, 2 plays?
It wasn't
5 plays.
It wasn't a lot. It was the Missouri game they started at center, but we didn't get
and they are looking for a center. And count me in, dude. I was shocked. We saw Boaz Stanley get the start at center, and it didn't go well. It didn't go. It didn't go well. He and Rodney Newsome had a really rough go of it there at the right guard and the center position. And as I mentioned, Travon Ball was equally bad. Look, Oklahoma's defensive line is good, but they're not. I mean, it's hard to fathom. And then on top of all that, somebody over there thinks, well, we're banged up, okay? I got an idea. Let's run it up the gut like 5 consecutive times because that's working.
That's where some of those chants started, that's for sure. Again, and going back to like the first drive of the game where you had the goal-to-go situations, I understand some of those calls were probably reads where theoretically Sellers could have kept the ball himself. When you go back and watch the plays, you can see that he's watching the DN that's coming around and making an assessment on at least one of those, whether they keep the ball or hand it off to Faison. But, yeah, you would, especially with a goal to go from the 9 to start off with and never really getting past the 5, you would think a pass play would have been in there at some point to try and get yourself to the end zone. I understand running on first down. That's, you'd had success running the ball already on that drive, but after that first play only netted you a couple yards, I feel like that's where you should probably be looking to throw it at some point.
First play, it was first and goal at the 9. First play went for 6 yards.
They go for 6 yards. I thought it went for 3.
Maybe it was 3. The next one went for 4 or 5.
It was like 2, and then
they were getting it. And
yeah,
I actually
chunks.
And I look, me being gullible is watching it like, hey, look at that. And, and of course I was ready to praise Sean Elliott, but the bottom line is that the bottom line on this is like, then you go for it, and I didn't get. I have no problem, by the way, going for it on 4th down to start the game.
Right.
I thought it was I thought it was a good decision. I shouldn't say a call. I thought it was a great decision to go for it. You score a touchdown, you change the momentum of the game, you've matched Oklahoma, everything's fine. And like you said, hard to believe at times, but it's middle of the 4th quarter and they're down a touchdown. Third quarter, and you hit a long pass to Harbor, something breaks, you get an interception,
you're one play away,
and you're tied.
Yeah.
So I don't know what exactly kind of that play call. We've tried it 3 times, and I mean it had no chance whatsoever.
Yeah, and then on whatever the 4th down play call was going to be, I mean it got blown up immediately, and guy was in. I think it was Baugh that blew the Brock, but the guy was in Sellers' face, and he never had a chance for whatever that play was supposed to be designed to do. And again, that kind of was a microcosm for what this year has been on offense, unfortunately. And, you only had one other trip to the red zone that day, and you scored on that one, but that was it.
803-404-6100. We'll wrap up hour number 2. Continue to send in your thoughts. I'll get to these text messages as we roll along. You're listening to the Halftime Show.
Man, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to enjoy this one tonight. That's what I'm going to do, okay? And then I'll wake up tomorrow and we'll worry about what's next. We're banged up. We need an open date. And I know our group will be excited about the next one, right? So, yeah, I'm gonna go take a deep breath, get something good to eat. All right, prop my feet up on the house, hug on them kids and Miss Sally, and then tomorrow we'll wake up and we'll think about the next one.
What are you going to eat?
We'll see what Miss Sally's got at the house tonight.
I felt bad for him, man.
I did too.
He knew. And I do think legitimately they told him last week, like, hey,
yeah,
this is your last game.
Yeah, that I used the comparison.
And by the way, that's Billy Napier after Florida beat Mississippi State on Saturday.
And he, of course, was fired yesterday. I liken it to, people that say that when they jump out of airplanes, that there's a point when you're falling where you're like, well, even if this is it, at least I can enjoy the ride on the way down because, there's really no going back. And that's kind of what Billy was like there. And he did win the game, so that certainly helps. But it's like, you know what? I can't do anything about it. It is what it is. I'm about to get a big paycheck, and, I won't have to.
$11 million in 30 days, Tyler Head. I'll stink to get $11 million.
I think that's a common response from a lot of people. Is like, I'd love to be fired for that much money. But look, nobody gets into coaching to make money, right? They get into coaching because they love football and they're competitors and all that kind of stuff. And yes, the money can certainly ease the pain of losing your job a little bit. But Billy Napier, there's a reason why these guys jump right back into coaching. Billy Napier is already thinking about, okay, where can I go now? What can I do next? And trying to build himself back up.
Well, he's not lacking for opportunities.
He's not.
We will wait and see what Florida State does with Mike Norvell.
They gave him the old "we'll evaluate after the season," which we kind of know what that means.
Well, I guess I was going to say I ought to check right now just on Twitter just to make sure. You never know, because even though you said the end of the season.
Well, they put out the statement this morning, so
okay,
that kind of that kicks the can to all right. You got 5 more games. If we don't see something tremendous between now and then, either that or they're just trying to scrounge up the money to fire him because he's got a big buyout. And I know most people didn't stay up late to see it, but they had a ugly loss to Stanford out on the West Coast in a late game, and that's the 4th loss in a row, and the wheels have come off. That Alabama might go into the college football playoff just like Notre Dame last year with a worse loss than anybody else because this Florida State loss is aging terribly.
You're right about that. I mean, and I can't help but joke, like, hey, Thomas Castellano, maybe, just maybe, you should have actually focused on other teams besides just calling out Alabama. But, what is happening at Florida State is just absolutely crazy. Do you know the last time? Are you aware of the last time they won a conference game?
It was over a year ago because it was, Norvell's like 44 now. He was 42 then. So it was over it because he just turned 44.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
September 21st against Cal, 14-9.
And that was an ugly game that they barely won. Then I think they beat Samford last year, and that was their only other win.
Charleston Southern. Okay, I was in the right. It was FCS in the Southeast. I knew that much. But, yeah, it looks like it's over there. And it's crazy. This guy 2 years ago was undefeated and should have been in the college football playoff, and now we're here, which that's college football for you, man. Well, I mean, and you go back to that, back almost a month ago. Today's October 20th. Back on September 20th, they beat Kent State 66-10.
Yep.
And you were like, oh, Florida State's back. They got what they want. Let's get fired up for the showdown against Miami in October. And then they go up to Charlottesville to start on a Friday night and get beat. And then they're not losing. Now, they lost by in double overtime by 8 to Virginia. They lost by 6, although they had that rally against Miami. Lost by 3 to Pittsburgh and lost by 7 to Stanford.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes those kind of losses, like the overtime loss, can be the kind of first domino to fall, and 3 more have fallen since. And if Norvell is back at Florida State next year, I'd be very genuinely surprised.
I just now the big coaching jobs that are coming open, Florida, Penn State. I'll throw North Carolina in there. I'll throw Arkansas in there. I think UCLA's big. Oklahoma State's a big job. We're running out of top-notch coaches to go there.
That's a real problem, and that's why if you're going to be firing your coach this year, you got to wait in line because your job may not be in the number 1 or even top 5.
Yeah, you don't even know what else is going to come open right now. What just hypothetically if Marcus Freeman goes to the NFL?
There you go.
Hour 3 on the way.
Tyler Edford here for our friends over at Pro Swing Columbia. 2 locations out at Forest Acres and in Chapin. As I've told you about plenty of times before, they have got the setup over there. Golf Zone simulators allow you to play at golf courses all over the world where you can rent by the hour, and they have memberships available as well. And if you're just looking to actually improve on your regular golf game, they have free 30-minute swing evaluations as well. They'll give you a blueprint of your swing with a couple pointers and drills to work on to make you a better overall golfer. They also have lesson packages available from beginners to scratch golfers and from kids to adults. They're also a tailor-made dealer and have club fittings. You can book online at proswingcolumbia.com or give them a call for more information at 803-592-3916. Get our friends over at Pro Swing Columbia, 2 locations in Forest Acres and in Chapin.
We just haven't been consistent. We get stuff going, we dropping the ball. We really just got to finish. We drove down the field that first drive we had out there. We just kind of stalled. Can't let that happen. And then we got down there, we stalled for a little bit. We ended up pulling out the drive. But I mean, when we get down there, we got to drive. We got to finish.
Those are the words of Lenora Sellers on Saturday afternoon about getting down there and having to drive and finish. Brad Crawford put out a stat yesterday, I think. Did you see this?
I did not.
Okay, Brad Crawford put out, I retweeted it. Brad Crawford has put out a stat, and it's not the stat that you want to be putting out. It says 12 touchdowns scored through 7 games. Only Wisconsin and Oklahoma State have scored fewer points in the Power Four. And I go back to this, and that was Lenore Sellers we just heard. You know who they are now. This is who they are. And we'll get to the huge elephant in the room this hour, which is what do you do with Mike Shula, with play calling, with the Final Five? Do you just accept that there's really no changes you can make and you ride it out and you hope against hope that something changes? Shane Beamer talks about he sees how they practice. He sees how the talent is. But you're 7 games in. And I hate to say it, at this point, you kind of know who you are.
Sure.
You know your flaws. You know your strengths. And when Lenora Sellers says that we got to finish, yeah, you do. But you haven't. And you haven't for the entire season. You haven't for 7 games.
Did you see the statistics I put out yesterday?
Read them, yes. Go through. Go through.
Okay.
This is Tyler. We're going through, doing research, and this is Tyler Head with a lot of statistics.
So South Carolina, and there again, there's 136 teams in the FBS. South Carolina ranks 100th or worse offensively in these categories. Scoring, you're 115th. Rush, you're 121st. Pass, you're 104th. Total, you're 129th. First downs, you're 123rd. Sacks allowed, 135th. Tackles for loss allowed, 127th. Third down conversions, 120th. Red zone scoring, 128th. And red zone trips, 132nd. Now, all the categories they're not in the hundreds in, they're not really that high either. I don't think I came across anything they're in the top 50 in nationally on offense, which isn't surprising. But, again, for the sake of characters, that's what I could fit into that tweet for 100 or below.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason I say this is, again, because at this point in time, I would love to sit here and say today, well, here comes Alabama. I don't know. I've seen Shane Beamer's teams with their back against the wall, and I've seen them come out firing, and I've seen them be able to overcome a lot of things. And I have been. We saw in 2002. We saw in 2002. You get ranked. Looks like you're rolling. You lose to Missouri at home, 23-10, a very ugly offensive game there.
Mm-hmm.
You go on the road to Florida. You can't score an offensive touchdown, a very ugly game there, 38-6. And you kind of write them off, and you're kind of like, well, they're probably going to go 6-6 and get to a minor bowl. And yet they blow the doors off of top 5 Tennessee. They upset Clemson, and right now have kind of changed the dynamic of that rivalry. And they're 8-4.
Yep.
So they bounced back from adversity. In 2023, they're 2-6. It looks, who knows what it looks like they're about to head to. They had Auburn, Kentucky left on the schedule. Easily could have been maybe they had Jacksonville State,
Vandy, Kentucky, Jacksonville State, Clemson.
Okay.
That's what the last 4 were.
And wait, what?
In 2023, as you're talking about?
I thought you just gave me 5.
No. So it was Vandy, Kentucky, Jack State,
Gotcha.
Clemson to wrap out the year.
Okay.
Not in that order. I think Jack State may have been the first or second game there.
But I say that because they did bounce back from adversity. They did get themselves to within a victory of being bowl eligible. Didn't happen.
Yeah, but they were playing for something.
But you saw them bounce back. Last year, some things at times don't go particularly well. They're losing to Alabama. They get the doors blown off by Mississippi. A game very, very similar to what happened on Saturday, by the way. You can't overcome Alabama, a game in which you probably should have won. And you're 3-3, and you don't know where it's going to go. And all of a sudden, they handle adversity and they roll to 9-3. So there is a history of South Carolina's back being completely against the wall and bouncing back and being able to overcome and reach the goals they want to. But Tyler, my question to you would be, this feels entirely different.
It does, and again, with what we've watched in this college football year alone, nothing's outside the realm of possibility. But if you told me right now what's the pathway for beating an Alabama this upcoming weekend, I'm like, I think you're going to need a couple defensive scores. You're going to need Vakari Swain, and give credit to Vakari Swain. He had a couple of really good punt returns to put you at midfield on Saturday a couple different times. One of those you got nothing out of, and the other one's the one that ended up before the half with that sequence of plays. So it's really going to take an elite effort from your defense and special teams to beat a team like Alabama, because, again, until proven otherwise, we can't trust the offense to score into the 20s. And look, I know Alabama's defense isn't as good as Oklahoma's is, but they're still good enough, right? And you've faced worse defenses than them and still struggled to score against them.
Yeah, and again, Alabama is coming off this juggernaut of a schedule. You mentioned it; they've gone on a run of games. Do they now do they slightly overlook South Carolina? It's going to be that 3:30 game, so it's not going to be a sleepy game.
No.
With that said, I don't know what I don't know how this is going to be.
It's also homecoming this weekend.
It might not. I don't. Maybe more parents in the stands. I'm not sure how to handle that. But this week, it's not that you lost. Let's be clear about that. It's not that you lost to Oklahoma. It's the manner in which you lost, and I think it's us fans having to watch the play calling that is just becoming mind-boggling.
Yeah, it definitely is. And again, you haven't been able to find those silver lining slivers of hope consistently enough on offense. Think, okay, well, if this just starts going in the better direction here, this does better than that, then it's going to be clicking. Again, you're 7 games in. I just ran through the stats. You are what you are at this point in time, and you have to find a way to manage with that for the final 5 games of the regular season. That, again, hopefully your other 2 facets of the game can help you out. And I don't know what shape Clemson's going to be in by the time that game gets here. Coastal, I brought it up earlier, might be an uncomfortable kind of game. I think you could still win, but, it could be like an ODU type situation. And then, again, you got three teams that up until this past weekend were in the top 10. Ole Miss lost to Georgia and fell out, but still 3 really, really good teams, one of which is undefeated right now in A&M. That, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's the thing of, like, Beamer teams play better when no one gives them a chance. No one's giving you a chance anymore. You've lost all that benefit of the doubt, so maybe this is when you finally step up. I don't know.
803-404-6100. That's how you can weigh in. I tell you what, let's get to a call. Rod wants to weigh in this afternoon. Rod, how you doing? What's on your mind?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Doing good. Doing real good.
Man, I was going to call in, but when I saw you, I said, man, let me call, see how Bill doing, and check on you and all that good stuff. I reached out to you on X just saying, hey, I'm praying for you. I'm glad to see
Thank you.
that, our Lord and Savior Jesus kept you on this side of the track. You know what I mean? Everything ain't promised, man, to us. So, but I'm grateful to see you today. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, Rod. Thank you so much.
Now, football. Oh, my goodness, man. I knew, I think when I called your show, when you was on the morning show, I kind of brought this up. I knew this year was going to be pretty bad when he didn't put any, I guess, pro-style players around your big time quarterback coming back for this year, I knew then it would have been a problem. So it really, at this point, I know everybody's blowing a head gasket about it, but we should have saw that, man. With us being with us being so close last year of getting in the playoff, because in my mindset, this year would have been playoff or bust. But that ain't gonna happen, and I don't see us going to a bowl game happening. So it is what it is. But I can't see him fixing the situation that we got with the OC, because 5 years in, man, and we still having the same issues with OCs. Come on, Doc. But I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Y'all remember? I know you big on movies and everything. Y'all remember? And I'm not calling for nobody's job. So when I say this, when I tell you about this movie, it might sound like this. But you guys remember the movie, the first Matrix, where Morpheus was trying to convince his crew that Neo was the one, but really they didn't believe it. He believed it, but I just want to take an opposite approach. I don't think he's the one, man, to get us over that next level when it comes to this program. It is what it is, man. I just don't believe he's the one. But glad to talk to you guys, and I appreciate you. Bill, keep getting your healing. You know what I'm saying, being whole, and thank y'all for taking my call, man.
I appreciate it, Rod. Yep, great to hear from you. Let's stay on the phone lines for a second and get back out. Joe wants to weigh in for a second this morning. Joe, Joe, how you doing this afternoon?
Bill, how you been, man? It's been a while, my brother.
Doing very good. Doing very good.
Good to hear your voice, man. I hope the kids are doing well, man, as well. This is my thing, man. Everybody's complaining about the OC. Name an OC that you would like in here, and then what accomplishments will he have with the offensive line that we have? Our offensive line cannot block, man. Whatever the problem may be, whoever the coach may be, whoever we all want to point our fingers at about the O-line, the O-line has to be one of the worst in the country. So if you change the offensive coordinator and bring in the best OC that you guys can name, that we all can name, how much is he going to accomplish with the offensive line that we have? And I'll take you guys' answer off the phone, man. Great show. Good talking to you, like I said, Bill. And I just want to hear what you guys have to say about that.
Yeah, I appreciate the phone call. I don't know if it's just all the offense in terms of, like, I don't think it's a talent. I don't think the talent is great, mind you, Tyler. Okay. I'm not trying to tell you that this group is incredible, but I don't think it's a talent issue. And I've seen more stuff where people just run by the offensive line, flat run by the offensive line, where that's a scheme thing and not just being like, hey, block the guy in front of you. Now, I've also seen guys just absolutely get backed up into the quarterback.
Sure.
But I don't think it's just as simple as, well, they're not very good. A change isn't going to solve anything. I think some of it is scheme-wise.
Yeah, again, there's nothing off the table that's not worth criticizing at this point in time, and he brings up an interesting point, especially with as many jobs are being open right now. I don't know how many top-end coordinators are taking head coaching jobs. Who's going to be available in the offseason? Again, I'm assuming that you did move on for Shula. Who's going to be available to even be hired as an offensive coordinator? Who would want to come here? You know what I mean? There's a lot of options on the table. It's impossible to even craft a list right now of who those guys would be and who'd be willing to come here.
803-404-6100. I see you, Dean. We'll get to you, and we will address one of the kind of elephants in the room on this offensive coordinator situation. You're listening to the Halftime Show. 2:20 on your Monday. Normally we have Jamie Bradford on. He will actually join Tyler tomorrow between 12 and 1. I actually have a medical appointment that I've got to attend, so I'll be out tomorrow. But Jamie Bradford will be with us tomorrow. But today he is off, so we will continue to get more of your opinions. And I see a lot of you lining up on the phone line, so let's get to you right now. 803-404-6100. Let's start with Dean. Dean, how you doing? Thank you for being patient and waiting on the line.
Hey, appreciate the call. Thanks for all you guys do a great show. My first time calling in real quick. I've been a Gamecock fan for a long time, since '72. My two takes, offensive line, we already hashed that out. But if you watch Josiah Thompson, to me, from where he was last year to this year, really taking a step backwards. And hopefully with Sean Elliott, that can get fixed. And number two, ever since Mike Shula took over in the bowl game, it's so obvious that Sellers is not the same quarterback. He doesn't make the decisions he made before. He doesn't get out of the pocket like he used to. And he's under duress a lot, given that. But he does not look like the same quarterback that we saw last year through the Clemson game until the bowl game started. So I'll take it off the air. Appreciate it, though.
Yep. Thanks. Appreciate the phone call. That's some internal stuff that we can all speculate on. Is it the way he's being coached? Are they wanting him to do stuff entirely different? Is he protecting himself? Is he looking at his draft stock and saying, I need to get better and do this? I don't have an answer for it, but you are right. And it's not, look, again, he's got 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and he's completing 65% of his passes. You mentioned, what is he averaging,
162 yards. That's lowest of all the quarterbacks in the SEC.
But, yeah, I mean, the answer is I'm not – I will get an answer. It'll come out. It'll come out, but I don't know what has transpired with the offense, and just everything. We had him on. We had him on at Media Day, and he liked the idea of Mike Shula being there with him. He was pro Mike Shula.
Well, and I think let's go back to the offseason when the decision was made that you were going to just keep Mike Shula on as a play caller, and it made a lot of sense. And again, nobody was saying that the Dow Loggins offense was lighting up the scoreboard. I mean, it was fine, and it had some games that were a lot better than others. But he got the most out of 16 that you felt like he could in his first year as a starter. And it's like, okay, well, if Dow Loggins going to move on, here's the guy that was sitting on the bench next to Lenore Sellers every single game, going over because Dow Loggins was up in the booth calling the game. Here's the guy that sat with him after every single drive, went over things, coached him up, all those kind of things. Like, I can't think of a better person to assume play calling than somebody that's already integrated and somebody that has that kind of rapport with Lenore Sellers, not to mention the fact that, again, he coached a guy with a similar skill set to him at the highest level in Cam Newton. It's like, okay, wow, well, this guy knows how to utilize a quarterback like that. And there's a lot of reasons of what's went wrong, but it just hasn't worked. And again, you're 7 games in, and I know Wes and Chris alluded to this earlier because Beamer had the comment after 2 or 3 games. I think Jack brought it up where he's like, hey, your offense is last or almost last in every statistical category in the SEC. And, his response at that point in time was, well, not everybody's played quality competition, so some numbers are inflated. And, those will even out as time goes along. Well, we're 7 games in, and most everybody's played a handful of conference games now, and you still find yourself at the very bottom. And Beamer, 2 weeks ago, last week, whatever, did say, hey, those numbers are alarming. So it's not like he's not aware, right? Beamer's not walking around twiddling his thumb saying, everything's great, offense is great, Shula, let me give you a raise and extension. He's not saying that, but at the same time, he's not somebody that's going to throw his guy under the bus during a presser. But I imagine when the doors are closed, when they have those coaches-only meetings, there's probably some heated discussion and conversations about how bad this has gotten.
803-404-6100. Back to the phone lines we go. Nick wants to weigh in this afternoon. Nick, how you doing? Thank you for being patient.
Hey, guys, doing great. Honored to be on the show. Appreciate you guys having me. I wanted to bring up a kind of an odd point, a little bit less football related, about Sandstorm. I wanted to hear what you guys kind of thought about this. I've been saying this to people for years now. I don't have Twitter or anything, so I felt like I just needed to bring it up publicly at this point. Do you think we're overdoing Sandstorm just a little bit? I love it as much as the next guy, But I was at the game, end of the third quarter. You know, they just scored 10 unanswered points. I don't know exactly what happened at the end of the third quarter, but clearly the momentum was on Oklahoma's side. And, you know, we're playing Sandstorm before the fourth quarter starts, and I look over at our bench, not a single guy is moving, crowd's completely out of it, and you got the whole Oklahoma bench waving their towels, jumping up and down, and it almost feels like it's playing into their side a little more than ours. And I don't know. I feel like maybe we need to have some kind of DJ or someone who understands crowd dynamics a little bit more. And I guess while I'm on this rant, like, do we need to play it after, you know, every time the baseball team scores a run or something like that? Not to, you know, show any disrespect to any of the other teams, but I feel like there's a way to save a song like that, you know, for, in a way, special occasions, beginning of the game, beginning of the fourth quarter, if we're winning, if it's a close game, things like that. Y'all can take that off the air. But I wanted to hear what other people had to say about that, because I've been thinking it for a while. So.
Yeah, Nick, appreciate the call, 803-404-6100. And that is an interesting thing about being at a game like this, is you realize how awkward some of those things can be when the crowd is clearly not into it. And they play their fourth quarter video where they talk about not getting outworked and all that kind of stuff. I can't remember if they shot the fireworks or not, but like
they shot the fireworks off of the scoreboard. They didn't do them out around the field.
Yeah. Because
I was wondering about that.
I may have been looking at something or reading something at that point in time, but they play the video, and again, the crowd's half gone at that point anyway. It is, I don't know, I'm assuming they have a quota for those kind of things. Like, all right, these are going to happen no matter what. We're going to play Sandstorm this amount of times or after certain scores and those kind of things. But yeah, it does make it awkward when the game's clearly out of reach, the crowd's not into it, and there are some people waving towels, but it's not having the desired effect that you want it to.
Well, and that's a body language. I mean, that's just I say a body language, but, you know, we shouldn't be dumb. The defense, and the defense didn't cost them the game on Saturday.
No, and look, the defense didn't have their best game, but, like, again, they kept it close enough where with a more competent offense, you're like, okay, one score, we're back in this thing, and who knows what happens. But, yeah, again, they could only hold on for so long.
Yeah, and I say that because it feels like the defense finally looks around and it's like, y'all can't score. And what are we doing here?
That goes back to the dynamic we talked about last week where, and this will never be known publicly, no coach or player is going to talk about it, but those things happen in locker rooms. Like, hey, we're doing our job, you're not. And that's how rifts can be created. And again, that's not happened to this point in the Beamer era, but when things are going in polar opposite directions like this, that's how those kind of things can come up.
803-404-6100. I see a bunch of you out there, Chris, Paul, Anthony, Danny. We'll get to you when we come back. You're listening to the Halftime Show. 2:34 on a Monday. I feel good. I told you I felt good going into the weekend.
Yeah, it helps to blow steam off for the past 2.5 hours.
Tailgate was fun on Saturday morning. Did some egg McMuffins on the Blackstone. Had the TV going. Beautiful day, absolutely beautiful day. Did some hamburgers and hot dogs after the game. It was that middle portion.
Yeah, that was the rough part.
The middle portion.
Yeah.
But and then today's a beautiful day. I feel great. I'm in a great mood. I'm excited. We got a game 7 tonight. We hadn't even got to. You got a great Monday night game in Tampa Bay and Detroit. I'm as perky as I've been. I told Tyler off air, it's kind of like you finally look like you have energy.
Hitting your stride a little bit. That's good.
Yeah. Let's get out to the phone lines. A lot of y'all got opinions, and I want to hear them. Danny, you've waited patiently. Danny, how you doing this afternoon? What's on your mind?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for taking my call. It's still a good day to be a Carolina fan when Clemson loses. That's just me. I think the offensive line for Carolina needs to get into the gym because they're just being manhandled every game. And I don't know who their physical weight coach is or whatever, but they need to get them boys in the gym. And another thing about this game this past weekend, the defensive line did their job, but the defensive backs trying to cover these receivers, they was playing too far off of them. You're looking at 8 to 10 yards, and when that guy connects a pass, they make 5 or 6 yards, and where's our defensive back? Running up there to tackle him. He ain't nowhere near close to him. But I'm a good Carolina fan. Always have, always will be, and I'll sit back and listen to what y'all's response. And thanks again for taking my call.
I appreciate the phone call, Danny. We haven't addressed it, just a lot to get to, but kudos to Ben Arbuckle for the play calling of his to just absolutely annihilate South Carolina's man-to-man with just easy, quick man beaters that got the ball out of the hand of John Mateer very quickly.
Yeah, and John Mateer probably still not back to full strength from where he was before the injury, but yeah, he looked a whole lot better now. There was 2 throws. I think it was both Kilgore in both situations where they were almost picked off.
Yeah.
So he almost had a few turnovers, but other than that, played a relatively clean, inoffensive game. And again, the way they're running the ball, especially early in the game, that was enough. That's all they needed. And again, we knew they weren't an offensive juggernaut. I think that was the first time they'd scored 3 touchdowns since against an SEC opponent since joining the league. I think that was stat going the weekends. They only had 2. So they scored 3 for the first time. So there's that. But and again, when your offense is giving you nothing, eventually your defense is gonna end up kind of falling apart down the stretch and letting the game slip away. But again, they did enough to keep you in it through 3 quarters.
And South Carolina had the ball 3 times first half. They didn't write that down. I didn't write that stat down. 3 times in the first half that they were on their side of the 50 and came away with nothing.
Yeah, so I believe it was 3 possessions around midfield. I wrote this down somewhere. I can't find it because I had so many other notes to write. But you had a couple because you had the 2 punt returns by Vakari Swain that got you there. And then when OU was backed up deep, they punted. So you had 3 possessions out near midfield, and one of them did result in the score. And then you obviously did nothing else with the other 2.
803-404-6100. Back to the phone lines. Anthony wants to weigh in today. Anthony, how you doing, buddy? What's on your mind?
Hey, I'm doing good. I enjoy your show, and thanks for taking my call. I think Gamecock fans mostly like Shane Beamer. He's a good guy. He's a good person. He supports the university, and I think he really wants to be here. But the situation with the offense is going to be his undoing unless he does something about it now. I think he's got to get rid of Shula. Shula's in charge of the offense. You guys went over the statistics earlier. It's one of the worst offenses in the entire country. Beamer's in charge of Shula. So if Beamer's going to do something about the offense, I think it is to get rid of Shula, show the fans, show your recruiting class and your players that you're trying to do something to fix the problem, because it ain't getting fixed. I think otherwise you hang on to Shula, and then, you get a sense he's going to get fired at the end of the year anyway. By then, your players are all in the portal. You're losing your recruiting class, and you're not going to do particularly well in the portal yourself. So, I think this is, in the last 3 years, Beamer's had 2 losing seasons, because we're going to have one this year. He will be on the hot seat, and if he's fired at the end of next year, I think you look back to this point in time, and it will be sort of his undoing. It'll be the downfall, because I think all the momentum and goodwill you've had from last year is gone very quickly, and it sort of comes back to not doing something about the problems with this offense. I mean, you got to at least show you're trying to do something. Otherwise, I think we just wander down the rest of the year. We score 7 to 10 points a game, and then next year's not going to be very promising. I'll hang up and listen to you guys.
I appreciate the phone call, Anthony, and I think you make a lot of very, very strong points. Let's stay on the phone lines. Producer Ed, let's go to Mike. Mike, how you doing? What's on your mind today? Thank you for waiting.
Well, I tell you what, I'm a little troubled. Gamecock fan going way back. Former full scholarship giver. Didn't miss a home game or a bowl game throughout the 80s. Spent 10 years overseas and the whole time followed recruiting. That type of a fan, and the wheels have come off, and it's sad because we all want Beamer to succeed. I do believe he's our guy. But he's got to start making some better decisions when it comes to hiring assistants. I never thought I would ever beat at this point, but I have watched the first couple games. I shut the game off when we turned the ball over on the first play of the game, didn't watch that game. It's just, I never thought I would be to a place where the pain of watching the football game outweighed the enjoyment of being a Gamecock fan, win or lose. And I'm just wondering what happens when the big money donors start to be like me. I'm concerned about it. I do think that, if Dabo wouldn't have got a couple more years in Clemson, we might have a different situation up there in the upstate. So I'd like to keep him around, but I would like to fire these assistants and get somebody in here that really wants to it seems like they're mitigating risk. They don't want to put Sellers at risk and with the play calling and some of the situations. And we gotta win, or we don't need to be on the field. I'm gonna hang up and see what you say. Thanks.
Yeah, listen, obviously, and Jeremiah Donati knows this, Tyler, and thank you for the phone call there, Mike. There are mass changes financially, not just to South Carolina, but financially coming to South Carolina. There's a stadium renovation project that you're gonna raise ticket prices are gonna go up.
They're gonna have to.
What you're saying is right, and people are gonna want. Look, it's I do want to stress this. It's a 1-year thing. It can be fixed. This is no longer our grandfathers or our fathers' college football, in which when you get in a situation like this, it could be a downward spiral for 3 years. This can be fixed overnight, right? This can be fixed. But with that being said, it's got to be fixed, and it's got to be fixed ASAP, because as Mike just said, yeah, you got people right now that are going to be looking at this going, all right, what are we going to do?
Yeah, next year's critical.
We'll come back and wrap it up. I see 2 of y'all on the line. We'll get to you. You're listening to the Halftime Show. We're wrapping it up here on a therapy, a vent session. I don't know. Get it out of your feeling. I apologize. We don't have another hour to get to all the phone calls, but I did want Tyler. We got all week to share our feelings and opinions. I'll be out tomorrow. I got a medical thing I got to deal with. Tyler will be here. Jamie Bradford will be joining him.
Beamer's going to speak tomorrow.
Beamer's going to speak. We got a lot to do, and it may not even be a situation. Normally, Tyler, we like to turn the page on Tuesday to the following game. We may still be – there's just a lot to unpack from what happened on Saturday afternoon, and it's the way the game played out. It truly is the way the game played out. Losing is one thing. Oklahoma's number 14 in the country, and they're a good football team.
Yeah, that's I had a prediction of 17-13. Been better than what you had. You're like, all right, again, offense didn't look great, but that's tough defense. But defense kept it close, and you had opportunities. Like, you could have lived with that a little bit more, but yeah, and the way that it was, just not good.
To the phone lines. Let's go to Bo. Bo's waited patiently. Bo, how you doing? What's on you after? Kind of keep it short here. I want to try and roll through a couple calls.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I just, I watched them inside the 10-yard line twice. Once we take a sack back to lose yardage, and the other time we ran power 4 times trying to put it in the end zone. Next time we got down there, we ran that little dump pass, and it worked. What I just don't understand is play calling sometimes. I'm a high school coach, so I do understand a little bit of what's going on, but I just can't, for the reason in me, understand why your run game hasn't worked all day. Why would you think it could all of a sudden work now?
I appreciate the phone call, Bo. Just for the record, Brad Crawford put this tweet out out in an article on CBS Sports on Sunday. You can go back and see it. It addresses that the South Carolina slide may have Shane Beamer reaching for escape. Now, he addressed that yesterday and said no.
Dream job, and my focus is on getting this team better, all that kind of stuff, which, that's what you expect him to say.
Right. But I want to say something. Remember at the beginning of the year, Shane Beamer went on a rant a little bit about there's a narrative that South Carolina doesn't run the football?
Yeah.
Okay. 2021, South Carolina was 11th in the SEC in rushing. In 2022, they were 12th. In 2023, they were 14th. 2024, last year, Rocket Sanders, they were 4th.
Yep.
This year, they're 15th.
So more often than not.
Not a narrative anymore. Let's go back to the phone lines. TK, you're up. How you doing? What's on your mind? Let's try and keep it a little short so I can get 1 or 2 more in.
No problem, man. I just here's the thing. You just mentioned it. We got this Beamer conference tomorrow, and here's my thing with Beamer. The fact that he can get up there in that press conference and say that the players played their butts off, that's what scares me the most. Because if they are trying as hard as they can, we really got some big problems going on. Because overall, if you see the overall theme that I do year after year after year, we get these 4- and 5-star players. We don't get a lot, but we get a few. But we just simply cannot develop these already superstar athletes. I mean, when you think about Jordan Birch, when you think about Lattimore, you think about all these guys that left us and end up going to the NFL. Of course, we got our own share of talent too. But now you got a 5-star Josiah Thompson that looks like he was unranked out of high school. You got Nick Harbor. I mean, he's literally a no-show, and I don't fault him all the time. I mean, but it's just like we cannot develop the superstars that we got on the team. So I'll just hang up and hear what you guys have to say about that.
I appreciate the phone call. I disagree a little bit. I don't have the time to kind of go back through that. I do think Nick Harbor is being developed. I just he's not getting his chance.
He's doing okay. He's doing fine.
Kind of doing well.
He had a touchdown on Saturday, but to the point of where we thought he was going to be, not necessarily, but he's made strides.
Your point on Josiah Thompson is wildly valid. That's very, very valid. Let's go back to the phone lines. Will, how are you doing? Make it, if you don't mind, make it kind of short here.
I got you. Don't worry about it. All right, here's the deal. On tomorrow's conference with Beamer, if he doesn't announce that Mike Shule is fired, he's going to lose half the fan base.
And if he don't fire Mike Shula at the end of the year, he's going to lose the whole fan base.
Appreciate the phone call, Will. Listen. He's not. Mike Shula's not going anywhere.
Not in season.
Not in season. Mike Shula. I understand what you're saying, Will, but he's not going anywhere. Let's get one more in.
Yeah.
JT, you got just about a minute here. I apologize for short time, but what you got for me?
I want to take a whole different take on this. So I sat up through 98, 99. We were 1-21.
Yeah, I was there for
and
that
I just feel like we're way, in the expectation category a little high, frankly. I mean, Spurrier wasn't getting 9 wins till his 6th season. We're 4 into it. We had a 9-win season last year, and I think he's got some good things ahead of him. We're having a down year, and just everybody just stay the course and remain patient. Let's see how this thing plays out.
That's a good way to wrap it up, JT. Very positive, buddy. I appreciate it. Tyler, good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
What a show.
I know.
Let's go have a party. Y'all have a great day.